Guys, with the Arcanist class, this really opened up how we can use stamina healers. Check this out. So guys, stamina healers have always been around, but with the Arcanist class, what has happened is there's a few healing skills that now change their cost depending on your highest stat, which allows us to make a stamina healer and actually have more accessible heals as a stamina based character. Before we get into the sets, there is a written build down in the description if you want to check that out. But first up, we are using Powerful Assault. You can buy this from Telvar or off of the traders. This is a medium armor set. This gives you max health, max stamina, and weapon damage, and then when you cast an assault ability while in combat, you and up to 5 other group members gain about 300 weapon damage for 15 seconds. This doesn't have a cooldown, so this is up at all times as long as you're casting an assault ability. We have 2 different assault abilities, so this is on at all times. So we are using a mythic with this build. So currently in my setup, I am using a bow on the front bar with precise and absorb stamina enchant. And then we're using 2 reins, giving with the weapon damage enchant, and they are infused. And then we are wearing a breastplate that is with using the max stamina and divines. All the armor is going to be max stamina and divines. Now next up, we are using Spell Power Cure. This comes from White Gold Tower. You can do it on normal or vet, and everyone has access to this. This is a light armor set. It gives you 2 lines of magicka, weapon damage, and then when you overheal yourself or an ally, you grant the target major courage for 5 seconds, which increases their weapon damage by 430. So we are using this all across the body. Since we are using a mythic, like I said earlier, we're going to be wearing it on the shoulder piece, which is going to be taking place of a monster set. Now, we are using a 1 piece of Slimecraw. This comes from Wayrest Sewers 1. You can do it on vet. It's very easy to get. We are just using this so we get crit chance. Any monster set that has crit chance will do, and we do want it to be light. And this is once again max stamina and divines. Now the mythic that we are using is Tonal Constancy. This was one of the first mythics that had came out during the Greymoor DLC. This will make it so that way when your stamina is less than 50%, your mag recovery is going to be increased by 450. And while your mag is less than 50%, your stamina recovery is increased by 450. So it's a very nice balance in the way I've set up the build. This is really, really helpful, and I've basically never needed to heavy attack. You can heavy attack if you want, and that will boost your healing, but I'll get into that later. And then for our back bar, we are using the Master's Perfected Restoration Staff. It doesn't have to be perfected. This comes from Dragonstar Arena. Like I said, you don't have to do it on vet, you can just do it on normal. All that the perfected version will do is just give you some extra magicka. This will make it so that way your grand healing invigorates you and group members for 6 seconds, which allows us to restore 224 magicka and stamina every 2 seconds. So it just helps with our sustain as a group overall. And that is on the back bar, and we are using precise with absorb magicka enchant. So first up for our stats, we have 100% happiness when you like and subscribe on this video. And then next up, we have 64 attributes into stamina. We get about 16,000 magicka, about 20k health, and about 32k max stam. Our mag recovery is a little under 1k, and our stam recovery is 1500. As far as our weapon and spell damage, we're looking at about 3,500, and our crit chance is 43%. This is unbuffed. And our resistances are about 14k on spell resist and about 10k on physical resist. If I buff up here, we get about 1100 mag recovery and 2k stam recovery. We do get about 5200 weapon damage and 55% crit chance. And our resistances do go up to about 17k and 13k. And as far as the Mundus Stone, we are using the Thief. We are actually going to be crit based. Arcanists have a lot of stuff around crit damage and crit healing, so I really built off of that. So we are AKG, which will also help with that. Now for our consumables, as far as the potions go, I was using the weapon power pot potions. This will give you major endurance, which increases your stam recovery, and then major brutality and savagery, which increases your weapon damage and weapon crit chance. Now, if you already have those buffs, then you could just run the Tri-Stat potion. As far as food, during the fight, I was using Lava Foot. This will give you about 5k stam and about 500 stam recovery. If you wanted more health, you could do Dubious Cameron Throne. That will take off a little bit of your stam recovery and max stam, but you do get 3k max health. Or if you want more mag recovery, you could do Candy's Jester Coins. This will give you 4600 max stam and about 460 mag recovery. Now for our skills. First up, this is one of the skills that procs our powerful assault. We are using Echoing Vigor from the assault line. This is the first skill you get. You could just hop right into PvP. You don't actually have to do any PvP. You just go to Cyrodiil, do the tutorial quest, and you can get this unlocked right away. This morph makes it so that way when you hit this, you will have a 15-meter AoE around you that heals over time for about 16 seconds. And this is a stamina-based heal. Next up, from Curative Rune Forms, we are using Curative Surge. So because we do have max stam, this is costing us max stam instead of magicka, and it is a heal as well. This is a beam in front of you. It's a very skinny lawn carpet. It heals for about 4.5 seconds. And as you use this, the heal gets up to about 200% more at the end of its duration. If you consume Crux, which are these triangles floating around me right here, you can have up to 3 of them. If you consume them, they will make it so that way you also restore resources to all of the allies that get hit by this. Now with this skill, because it is a beam, it is actually based on your crosshair. So where I aim is actually where it goes. And as you can see, it is very skinny, so you do have to actually aim it, but it does go for quite a distance. So guys, if you don't want to use the Curative Surge, if you think you have enough healing, or if you want to slot something out, you could throw on Rune of the Colorless Pool. It is a mag skill, so you will have more struggling with your mag, so you might want to throw on the Candy Jester Coins. But when you hit that, it will apply minor vulnerability and minor brittle to an enemy for 20 seconds. So it's amazing for debuffing bosses if it doesn't already have those on it. Next up, we are using Evolving Rune Mend, also from Curative Rune Forms. This is another stamina heal. When you hit this, it is a burst. For me, it's about 4k over 3 different times. And then it also has an HOT over 6 seconds and generates a Crux each time you use this. And if you do have an active crutch on you, it reduces the cost of the ability by 3%. So this is our main Crux generator. We can spam this as much as we want, and we will be fine. Next up, from Curative Rune Forms, we are using Tidal Chakram. This is another Crux spender. This is a shield that goes to you or up to 4 allies in front of you. And you get a shield. For me, it's about 9k over 6 seconds. And it consumes a Crux that will heal the targets for 33% of the shield's remaining strength every second. So if you have 3 Crux, that's 99% of its health. That is 9k healing every second as long as it's at full. It is a very, very powerful heal. And that is per second. The shield is smart, so it will prefer to target people that you are aiming at, or if they are low health and don't currently have a shield. And this is also stamina based. Next up, from the assault line, this is our second ability that procs powerful assault. We are using Razor Caltrops. This is a ranged attack that throws out an AoE that when enemies are inside, they get hit every second and reduce their movement speed by 50%. And if they take damage, they will have Major Breach, which will reduce their resistances by about 6k for 4 seconds. And that 4 seconds resets every time they take damage. So this is going to help us debuff all of the adds so your DPS can just nuke them down faster. Next up, we are using the Tide Keen's Gaze. You don't actually have to use this. I have it here just for passives. However, you could use another ultimate, which I'll cover later. When you hit this for 175 ultimate, it will summon a beam on the target, and it will attack every half second, and it will follow them around if they do move. Once the person dies, if the beam is still active, it will look for a new person. Now, if you don't want to use the Tidekeen's Gaze, you could also go into the assault line and get Aggressive Warhorn. When you hit that, it will make your group's max mag and max stam increase by 10%, and everyone gains major force. However, if you are in a trial, someone else might be already using this, so that's why I've been using the Arcanist's main ultimate, which I'll get to on the back bar. Next up, from the Resto Staff line, we are using Combat Prayer. When you hit this, it is a thicker carpet that's a little shorter, not the same size as the beam. Everyone will heal for a massive amount. It's over 10k for me, and that can crit since we crit all the time. It hits for about 18k. But if you are hit by that, you will gain Minor Berserk and Minor Resolve, increasing your damage done by 5% and your resistances by about 3k for 10 seconds. Everything on this back bar is going to be mag, everything on the front bar is going to be stam, and I'll show you why later. Next up, also from the Resto Staff line, we are using Radiating Regeneration. When you hit this, 3 targets will have an HOT applied to them that is sticking onto them so they can move around all they want. Next up, from Curative Rune Forms, we are using Reconstructive Domain. This makes a giant AoE on the ground, and when you're standing in it, you gain Minor Courage, which gives you 215 weapon damage, and then Minor Resource Recoveries, which increases the recovery by 15% to all resources. This will also heal over 20 seconds if you're standing in it. If you think you have enough healing going on, you could use the other morph, which will make these buffs stay on the DPS and everyone, even if they leave the circle, and I believe it lasts for about 10 seconds outside of it. Next up, from the Undaunted line, we are using Overflowing Altar. This does cost health, but we're a healer, so that does not matter. This will apply minor lifesteal to all enemies in the area, which will allow you and allies to gain 600 health every second whenever you damage an enemy. And more importantly, if your allies do happen to get low and you didn't notice, they can hit the synergy and it'll heal them for 65% of their max health. Next up, from the Resto Staff line, we are using Illustrious Healing. This will proc our Master Resto Staff. When you hit this, it puts a AoE at range on the ground and everyone will heal. And then for the back bar ultimate, this is the main one I use. Like I said, if everyone's already using Warhorn, this is my go-to. We are using Resonating Glyphic from the Curative Rune Forms tree. This costs about 200 ultimate, and when you hit this, it'll put a giant AoE on the ground, and the Glyphic will spawn at 70% health, and it will grow stronger as it gets damaged. DPS can basically nuke this thing right away. Once it's fully damaged, the entire group will gain 200 weapon damage, and it will heal you and allies for a massive amount every second in proportion to its health. Now, the heal is only based on 6 players, whereas the weapon damage increase is for 12 players. So it is a smart heal. If there are allies that have lower health, it will prioritize those players. Otherwise, it'll just go randomly for those 6 targets for the heal. Now for the champion points, in the blue tree, we are using Soothing Tide, which will increase your healing done for AoEs. Swift Renewal, which will increase healing over time. And then Rejuvenator, which will give us 205 weapon damage to all healing abilities. And then From the Brink, this will give an 11k shield to anyone who goes under 25% health. This is a massive help when it comes to mechanics that almost wipe everyone. This instantly applies them, and it has saved me many times. If you were a normal healer, I also would recommend Enlivening Overflow. That will give people extra resource recoveries. However, that's based on your max mag, which we are not focusing on max mag, so it is not as good for me right now. But From the Brink is amazing. It's really good for endgame content. In the red tree, we are using Rejuvenation, which will give us more recoveries. Fortified for more armor. We are using Bastion to increase our effectiveness of damage shields, and then Shield Master to reduce the cost of damage shields. We already have plenty of health. We're around 20k, so I did not get Boundless Vitality. You can, however, slot that on if you don't want either of those. Now for the passes, I'm just going to cover the passes that really help this build heal. All passes do affect your build playstyle in some way or another, so you will want to get all of them later down the line. These are just the ones that are really going to be helping you. From the Herald of the Tome skill line, you will want to get Fated Fortune. This will make it so when you generate or consume a crux, it will give you 12% critical healing for 7 seconds. That is why we are crit focused. It does help a lot. Harness Quintessence will give you 5% more weapon damage whenever you restore magicka or stamina, which we do all the time. We get it from our enchantment, we get it from our Master Resto Staff, potions, heavy attacks. There's many ways to get this proccing, and it lasts for 10 seconds, so it's up almost all the time. In the Soldier of Apocrypha line, you will want to get Circumvented Fate. This will make it so when you cast any Arcanist ability, you and your group members will gain minor evasion for 20 seconds, which reduces damage from AoEs by 10%. And then you will want to get Implacable Outcome. This will make it so when you consume Crux, you gain 4 ultimate every 8 seconds. In Curative Rune forms, you will want to get Healing Tides. This makes it so when you do have a Crux on you, each Crux will allow you to heal for 3% more. Hideous Clarity will also make it so whenever you generate Crux, you restore magicka or stamina, whichever is higher, which does apply to our Harness Quintessence from the Herald of the Tome ability. You also will want Erudition. This will make it so your mag and stam recovery is increased by 18%. And Intricate Rune forms will make it so your damage shields are 10% stronger. Now we are using a bow. The reason for that is the dual wield got nerfed. They nerfed the amount that daggers give for crit chance, so it is the same amount of crit chance you could get from daggers as a bow, and with a bow that allows you to light attack at range and proc your enchant, whereas dual wield you would have to be up close with melee. So because we have a bow, you will want to get accuracy. This will make it so you gain 1300 crit chance just for having it equipped. Hasty Retreat has also been helping quite a bit. If you do happen to roll dodge while on your main bar, you do gain Major Expedition for 4 seconds afterwards, so it gives you some time to get out of the fight. In the Resto Staff tree, you will want to get Essence Drain. This will make it so you gain Major Mending for 4 seconds after completing a fully charged heavy attack, and you heal someone for 54% of the damage inflicted. This is what I was saying earlier. Occasionally, you might have to heavy attack, and that is a fine thing. You will just gain Major Mending, and that helps a lot with your healing. However, with this setup, it does sustain itself very well. It takes a while to get through everything. And even with that, when I went into Hell Raw with Ember, I was spamming the most expensive stuff possible to keep us alive, and I barely actually had to heavy attack, so you won't really need a heavy attack ever. But you can do that if you want your Major Mending. Restoration Expert will make it so your healing is going to be increased by 15% if they're under 30% health. And then Cycle of Life will make it so you gain 30% more magicka on heavy attacks. Absorb will allow you to gain 600 magicka whenever you block an attack every quarter of a second. And then Restoration Master increases your Resto Staff spells by 5%. In the Light Armor tree, because we are wearing 6 pieces, Grace is nice to reduce the effectiveness of snares by 24%. Evocation is one of the biggest ones here. This will make it so your mag recovery is increased by 24%, and it reduces the cost of your magicka abilities by 12%. Spell Warding does give you extra spell resist, and Prodigy gives you a lot more crit chance. And then since we are using 1 piece of medium armor, Dexterity will give you 2% critical healing, and Windwalker will make it so your stam recovery is increased by 4%, and your stam abilities are reduced cost by 2%. And Agility will allow us to gain 2% more weapon damage. In the Undaunted line, you will want Undaunted Command. This will let you restore more resources when you do a synergy. And Undaunted Metal will give you more max pool for having our 2 pieces of armor equipped. Now we are a Khajiit. Robustness will give us more recoveries, Lunar Blessings will give us more resources, and Feline Ambush will increase our critical healing by 12%. And then finally, in the Alchemy line, you will want to get Medicinal Use. This makes your potions last 30% longer, which means they have 100% uptime. For the rotation, so basically the way this build works is we don't have a lot of mag recovery, and we don't have a lot of mag. So by the time we go through our back bar, you hit 1 of everything, you're going to be under 50% mag, which means our stam recovery is going to be increased from the Tonal Constancy jewelry. So when you're doing your normal fighting, your mag recovery, your mag is actually going to be pretty much empty the entire time. But it'll have just enough to where you can keep everything up. And if you do, you might have to heavy attack every now and then, but for the most part, it'll be fine down here. So as long as it's under 50%, we're going to gain a lot more stam recovery. So all these are about 10-second on the shortest duration, and the other skills are about 20 and 30 seconds long. So we don't have to go back here that often. On your front bar, you do want to make sure you keep Echoing Vigor on at all times. This is a AoE that's around me, so everyone that's near me is actually going to be getting it, whereas everything else is stationary. You don't use your healing beam that much unless you're really like getting pounded on. This is a very powerful heal, however you can't do anything else while you're channeling. You can block if you want to cancel it, so you can move on if you need to cancel it early. But for the most part, what you do is you'll spam your main burst heal, which does add an HOT to people, so you can spam it to different people. That will generate crux when you're in combat, just like this. Once you're at full, then you can throw out your shield. Now you're going to be healing for a massive amount underneath that shield, and that's what you're mainly going to be doing on your front bar. You can just spam your main burst if you need, give out shields, make sure you keep your stuff up, and of course make sure you keep Calatrops out so they have major breach. But if our stam does start getting low, let's say we get super low, maybe we're spamming our burst heal too much, and now we can't do anything on our front bar. First off, make sure you still have your potion on, but let's say you can't do anything on your front bar. You've completely drained yourself out. Well, your back bar is going to be going faster now too, so you can spam Combat Prayer for a burst heal if you need. Still make sure you keep all your stuff up, but even while both of them are now under 50%, it's actually pretty difficult to completely run out, because when one gets out, you can just go to the other. I'm trying to spam the most expensive stuff right now, not paying attention to duration, and even with that, we're not really running out. And this is like trying to purposely drain myself. Normally you won't have to be running out this low. So guys, this is our setup here. So as you can see, we were around 5.6k weapon damage. Our crit chance was around 50%. Sadly, we cannot see our crit healing. But as you can see, these two are our most powerful heals. This is our stam based. Technically, Evolving Rument is very powerful. It's just over 3 different things. And this does not include the healing over your health. This is just what it actually hit for. As you can see, Harness Quintessence is up pretty much all the time. That's the thing that gives you 5% weapon damage. Minor Evasion and Powerful Assault as well is up there. So this is the fight in the end of Hellra when you run up those stairs with the War Priest. Those are very, very powerful attackers. They hit very, very hard. Each one of them, as you can see here, can do 5k to 6k of my health. And I don't have that much health, and I am very squishy. Plus you have all of the archers and soldiers, so there's a lot going on here. We did take a lot of damage from those archers. They were almost half of the overall incoming damage, but we lasted up there for 9.5 minutes. Usually when you're up there, you have 2 tanks, 2 healers, and 8 DPS. That is spreading out all the aggro, and the tanks have the harder hitting War Priest, so usually it's fine, but this was able to sustain with just me and Ember, and I was able to keep both of us up the entire time. This is very, very strong setup here. Now, one thing I did want to point out is our difference in drain and regeneration. Our drain on Magicka is just slightly lower, so like I said, every now and then if you're in a long fight, you might have to heavy attack. Our drain on stamina is lower as well. However, we get a lot of things that restore stamina, such as our potion. And if we do, we could heavy attack as well on the front bar. But our potion mostly takes care of us there. So the build that I had Ember with, I had her wearing medium armor. She's just normal DPS. She was using the Crystal Blast, Sunder, Starfall, Shocking Burst, and Hurricane Visage. This is the only skill that helps her survivability. Everything else is just pure damage. She did not have any heals, so she was purely relying on me. And as you can see during the fight, it was very easy. Even with her randomly running outside of the heals, I was able to keep her up very quickly. And even if we did get low, that from the brink CP node just gives us that like 12k shield. and all the healing then can catch up to us. So it is a very, very powerful setup, and this provides all the buffs that a normal healer would. So I'm actually quite impressed with how the stamina healer is with the Arcanist. If the healing is taken care of, you could also take out some of those extra heals that I had and start putting out even more buffs and debuffs. I had this set up just because I wanted to show, first off, how much healing it can put out as a stam healer, but you will not need all of this. So like I said, you could throw out some of your heals, put out Rune of Colorless Pool. You could also do recuperative treaties to get brutality and sorcery at all times, or even something like camouflaged hunter. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like and subscribe if you guys want to see more of this content. If there's any other builds or concepts you had for builds, please let me know down in the comments. I always love making unique builds like this that aren't meta, and it adds more variety and fun to the game and can still be used in all content. So guys, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time.